Hi, my name's J.R. Harding, and I'm a professor here at FSU. I teach in the College of Business. I also happen to be a two-time quadriplegic. That means I broke my neck on two separate occasions, 15 years apart. I've been living with quadriplegia now for 38 years. It's been so long since I stubbed my toe, I almost forgot what it's like.
Hi, my name is Megan Germain. I work for the Florida Alliance for Assistive Services and Technology, better known as FAST. I was born with cerebral palsy, so it's tough for me to get around, and I use a wheelchair for about 80% of my day. Oh, it impacts my daily life 100%. I mean, if I didn't have a disability, my life would be so different, but the way I put it is I've never known anything else, so my daily life is different from everyone else's life because I have to deal with certain things that usual people don't have to deal with, like getting out of cars and upstairs when a ramp isn't visible or things like that.
Obviously, I do encounter barriers, right? The question is when, how, Mother Nature, other people, structural, mechanical, and the answer is yes, and almost every single day, right? Depending upon the nature of the challenge and what I am doing affects on my abilities, right? Whether it's turning on my computer, sometimes the eye recognition doesn't work, so then I have to call tech support, right? And they get me in. Maybe it's a parking space, getting in and out of my vehicle, dropping something on the ground, or simple as getting something to drink from the water fountain. All could be a barrier in my daily life. Yes, it could be getting in through the main door. Does it have a power door, or is it push? Is there the turning radius? Accessing the sink, or quite frankly, getting into the toilet stall and using that space. As a quadriplegic, my fingers do not work. I have to use lever handles and have no dexterity. So closing the door and using the latch is really beyond my control. So often, I will go home to go to the bathroom because I can't use the facilities that are generally found in the public.
I definitely have. I've ran in barriers getting in and out of the car, getting in bathrooms. Some buildings and offices don't have visible ramps, so a lot of times I have to find them.
Well, first, I'm just excited that someone's thinking about inclusion, greater sanity, and some automation or ease of use. Because as I mentioned earlier, using a door handle, finding the right angle to push things closed can be very challenging. And so I'm just really thrilled that one, you're thinking about it, and two, you're thinking about greater independence for persons with disabilities, and especially in the bathroom.
I think it's great. Push button automatic door openers are gross because you don't know if people wash their hands or not when they use the bathroom. So having something that I don't really have to touch would be amazing. If there's not, I have to pull the door open myself, which means I usually pull it open and then wheel myself in with one hand. So that's a hurdle in itself, and then finding the accessible stall. Some accessible stalls are bigger than others. I've come encounter with some that I don't fit in, and that makes me worried for some people because I have a very small wheelchair. So having a chair that's small versus having a chair that's bigger is a lot different because people don't usually think of it like that way. They're like, oh, it's a big stall. And then closing the door is also an issue for me a lot of times, because sometimes the door doesn't swing back or doesn't swing forward, and I have to pull myself in and shut the door. So having a lock that I can just wave my hand over would be great.
People's sensitivity, awareness, and attitudes. Right. Today I was blessed. While I was driving to this meeting, my little driving seatbelt here, as you can see, it straps on and off. It popped off while I was driving. Oh my God. I fell over and my face was on the steering wheel, and I had to put it in park with my head down on the steering wheel, and I couldn't get the driving strap back on. But I rolled down the window and somebody saw that I had an expression of concern and came over and helped. That's what's exciting about the future. But in many circumstances, people are just too busy to care about others.
For the most part, I think they're pretty gross. Occasionally I find one that's really nice and clean, and that's a relief, but I hate being on road trips and going to gas stations and having to deal with their gross public restrooms. So I definitely think there can be a lot of improvements made to public restrooms.
I think public restrooms are actually pretty darn gross unless they're maintained by really well-run companies. Not very clean at all. Don't recommend sitting on a public toilet ever. I recommend squatting over it or putting a lot of toilet paper on the seat.
Really anything in the bathroom stall. Usually you can cover the toilet seat pretty well with toilet paper and then use your foot to flush the toilet, but when you're trying to leave the bathroom, it's really a pain when you still have to touch the door lock to get out.
I think the part of the restroom that I view as the most unsanitary would be the stall itself, just because that's what contains the actual toilet, and that's what in female restrooms contains the female tissue disposal bin of sorts. So I think the actual stall itself and the toilet is the most disgusting part of the bathroom. If I didn't have to touch the bathroom stall door lock, I feel like it would be cleaner in the sense that, people wipe and then immediately touch the stall lock without washing their hands in between, and that's actually pretty nasty if you think about it. And it's also super easy if I didn't have to do anything. The toilet is automatically flushing, the sink is automatically dispensing, soap's automatically dispensing, same thing with paper towels. So it'd be pretty great.
I think that'd be awesome. I mean, I really don't like how many germs are chilling on that bathroom door lock waiting to be spread everywhere else. And I think there are already enough germs on everything else. And I'm definitely not a germaphobe as a person, but I think those are the ones you should definitely avoid. So if the lock could just open for me, that would be amazing. I think it could help me by making my bathroom experience a lot more pleasant, so I wouldn't have to worry so much about what might be on the lock. But in general, I think it would make it more accessible for people with disabilities, because sometimes people won't be able to operate the door lock, and so this could really help them have a more smooth experience.
Well, I think for me and everyone, it would help in the sense of cleanliness, but especially in the disabled community, it would help with being able to get in and out of the stall easily, whereas I can simply just swipe it. Someone who's disabled might not be able to do the same. So I think in that community it'd be extremely beneficial for a multitude of reasons, but for everyone it's just pure a cleanliness factor. Wow, that would help a lot. And it'd also just be super easy to go in and out of a stall.
If the owner of a public restroom has purchased an automatic stall door lock and installed that, then I can pretty much be guaranteed that they'll look after the other little details of the bathroom, and it'll be a clean, nice place.